Dr. Jones, if you're seriously considering going to India, you should hear the rumours surrounding the Thuggee Cult. Deep within Pankot Palace is a temple. And over a period of time, some thuggees have re-emerged to release their ancient god, whatever his name's called. There we go, that's it. There we go. No more Michael Caine. There you go, you can do your intro now.
You know what it is, yo. I missed that last week.
It's not
didn't
happening.
do it last week.
It might happen during the episode, but you need to just do it from scratch now. I just had to come out, had to get myself prepared.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Podcasters. This is a weekly podcast where we discuss all things movies, TV shows, video games, and a bunch of other things in no particular order. My name's Regan as ever, and I'm joined by my Thuggee Cultist co-host.
Damn it.
It's Dan.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, you were.
Fine, you Thuggee. I've got nothing.
So this could have been like the Thuggee Podcasters instead.
Well, I'm pretty sure if it was that, then there would be human sacrifice involved, as well as heart-taking.
And your point?
I don't think YouTube would take too kindly to that.
It's fine, we'll move over to Spotify or something instead. Just anything that'll take us. Yes, as the words are suggesting so far, we are of course talking about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom on this week's episode. Last week we did cover Raiders of the Lost Ark, film we thoroughly enjoy. I don't know about Dan, but I feel like we both enjoy Temple of Doom, maybe just a little bit more. So here we go. Before we discuss the film, obviously, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, please do consider. That would really help us out. And as I say, we spoke about Indiana Jones last week. We've got tons of other episodes on, frankly, just random stuff over the past couple of years. Feel free to check it out if you want.
It's movies, TV shows, and video games, and a bunch of other things in no particular order.
Yeah, see, once again, eventually I will get that on a t-shirt when it's cheap. And we did, of course, talk about the other Indiana Jones film in the room. That was last year. That was more fun than the actual film. I do suggest you go and listen to that one as we just slowly descend into madness and just rage.
Yeah, a bit of both, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas in this one we are just descending into a dark and scary temple full of people wearing skull helmets and pulling hearts out and throwing people in cages into lava fields. You know, the next one just has the Holy Grail and, like, Bond.
I know.
Like, it's a bit of a departure. But, there's that. So, yeah, talk about the Temple of Doom. This one, I think I was more looking forward to than the previous one. I mean, I still thoroughly enjoy Raiders, as I said last week. But Temple of Doom is just so brilliant to me. And it's maddening, considering that Spielberg absolutely despises this film. Like, he labelled it the worst of the four. Yeah, absolutely hate it. But if you think about it, I mean, think about the movies he was making before this, like including Jaws and stuff like that. Yeah. He was making basically horror films. This film was the last time you ever see him do anything horror related, because mostly because of the backlash and just the making of the film and stuff. Which I'm starting thinking, wow, he thinks this is worse than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull at the very least. He's got some nerve.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean this one just does the smart thing that any sequel does, or in this case prequel, as I didn't realise until
I only recently clicked on
too
that it was
recently
a prequel as well. Yeah.
Well, because realistically, there's no reason to ever think there would be, but it kind of makes sense that you would do a prequel, because then you don't have all the baggage of the first film. You can let's just do something else, because it very much takes. Even when we were talking about the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy earlier this year.
Yes, and the very muddled up order in which we watched them in.
Yeah, we did. Although, to be honest, I think I watched all these in in order. So, there's that. But at least this one is a completely different film, like in tone, especially in tone, in style, in the supporting characters, the score as well. There's like all of it feels very distinct, and that's really why I absolutely love it. Although, interestingly enough, because when I said last week about when I first watched these movies, it was from the 2009 trilogy box set. That film had Temple of Doom listed as a PG. So little did I know until literally the last time I watched it, which was just a couple of nights ago, I saw the actual version of the film, because the version that's on that disc is the cut down version because of all the controversy surrounding its violence and stuff. So I didn't realise that you do actually, when you get to the point later on, I know we're kind of jumping right, it's like the second half of the film, but the first sequence with Mola Ram and the sacrifice.
And the thump.
Yeah, the thump. The sequence when he gets his heart pulled out, in the version that I saw for years, you just see Mola Ram's hand just sort of like go in from the sacrifice's perspective, and you never see his hand actually go in.
Yeah.
In the version that's both on Disney Plus and the version I've got up there, you do actually see his hand actually go in.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, I mean, I just literally rewatched this today.
Brilliant.
And there's no, like, cut down tone or anything like that. I mean, you see the guy rip his heart out. And that's on Disney Plus.
And you even see him... Yeah, and you even see him, like, properly burn in the cage when he goes down as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sat there thinking, I've never seen this version. This is brilliant. It's even better for some reason. Yeah, as it turns out, like, I've seen that one only once. Every other version I've seen has been the PG version, whereas everything else now...
My experience with it was just the box set, really, and the PG version of it, which I never really noticed until I watched this today, and I'm like, am I missing out on things here? Because I don't remember that being so extended. I just kind of remember the cage going in and then cuts to something else. Don't remember.
It wasn't actually
charred to a crisp.
Yeah, it wasn't actually until 2012 when the actual version of the film was actually made available.
1984, and it took a lot of years, and then 2012. It's like, oh yeah, here's some extra material.
Well, I'm sure I said before, but this was the film. This and Gremlins, both released in 1984, was the reason that we got the PG-13 rating, because both of them were released as PGs. Everyone got angry because they thought, oh, it's way too violent for a PG, so Spielberg was the one that suggested it. But it wasn't until 1989 when the PG-13 rating actually became a thing, coincidentally with the release of The Last Crusade. Though I don't think that was made a PG-13. I feel like that's probably a PG. There's no...
Yeah,
I mean, there's some Nazis in it,
PG.
but there's no, like...
I mean, there's Nazis in it, but there's no... there's no sacrificial victims.
Typical. Just typical. But no, I mean, I just love everything about this. I mean, I love the much darker tone. I love the claustrophobic atmosphere with the fact that the second half of the film is just set in a cave. Like, there's no, like, globe trotting or anything. He just does that once, and it's just mostly by kind of accident. Short Round. Absolutely love Short Round. John Williams' score's even better. I even don't mind Willie Scott, to be honest. I've really come around to that character in recent years, as it turns out, because initially I was like, no, I wanted her to fall off the elephant, break her back, and then just not be in the rest of the film.
Jesus.
Otherwise, she's great.
Bit of a hot take. I actually think this is the best one out of the three.
Oh, that is going to be a hot take by the time we come to next week. Maybe not. Who knows? We'll find out next week. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't be surprised considering what I am like as an individual. I just like horror.
The fun stuff.
Yeah, I just like the horror of it. It's just brilliant. When I was rewatching it, there was definitely a lot, which I'm sure we'll talk about in memorable scenes and stuff, where I'm like, I totally forgot about that, and I totally forgot about this, and I totally forgot about that. It was only like just vague sort of stuff. I mean, I recognized a lot of the main stuff, obviously, the sacrifices and all that stuff, but I honestly didn't remember a great deal of the first half of the film. I mean, obviously the end as well, bits and pieces, but no, I really like this film. Maybe it might be better than Last Crusade, but that will honestly depend upon rewatch of it. Because I've always maintained that Last Crusade has been my favourite one.
Same.
Well, I think that'll change.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think for me, You know, I mean, I'm not getting into my thoughts on Last Crusade. We're going to talk about that next week. But I mean, that one at least has like a strong, heartfelt story, whereas this one doesn't really. This one is just like, let's just go as dark as we possibly can.
Oh yeah,
and admittedly,
and I love it.
Yeah, exactly, because it is completely and utterly different, and that's how you do it. I mean,
like, granted, Raiders has its horror-ish moments, particularly with the last scene when everybody's faces just melts.
Yeah, I feel like when they were probably developing ideas for Temple, and it was probably like that being George Lucas and Steven Spielberg getting to the ending of Raiders, and then there's just George looking down at a script for Temple, and he's like, Steven, yeah, you see that? It's like, let's do that for the entire film. And he's like, box office, done, let's go. I'm immediately picturing that, because this one just holds no punches when it comes to like violence and blood.
Oh, it's not. It's
even the first film had plenty of blood in it.
Barbaric of the trilogy. It's probably the most barbaric Indiana Jones film, full stop.
No, it's about me. I mean, the violence in this never really bothered me. It more so just piqued my curiosity.
I've seen more disturbing things in other films. But
yeah.
I think when you do with me and you haven't watched this film for forever, you're like, holy crap, this is actually quite violent.
Especially
what I
actually forgotten, actually.
Well, those scenes.
What I actually completely forgot about was the opening scene in China is very Bond-esque, complete with like a
you know what it reminded me of? I mean, I know you haven't seen a great deal of all the Bond films, but when you get like the title sequence and it's very much like that. It's like a Bond title sequence from the old films. I mean, the new ones as well, because the new ones do it, but I think it's more the old ones with all the vibrant colours and all the dancing with the lead characters and things. It's very Bondy.
Well, it makes sense, because Spielberg at the time always wanted to do a Bond film. He just wasn't allowed to, for absolutely laughable reasons.
No.
Would you like to take a guess as to why he wasn't allowed to?
Because he would just make it a horror film?
No. Something stupider than that.
Oh, God, what is it?
We know how he's American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's it. It's the only reason. In fact, it's literally not until the last Bond film, which was done by Cary Joji Fukunaga, who's American. Like, one rule. It was a bit like with when they did Harry Potter, in that predominantly we wanted it to be as British as possible, even though the producers of Bond are both Americans, so we'll just,
that makes absolutely no freaking sense.
But that's exactly why that's why the character of Indiana Jones was created, because we're not going to get...
Yeah, they're just going to do their own thing of it.
And it works, but that's kind of why you have Harrison Ford in like the white dinner jacket, very much like Bond, and I'm like, yeah, if you made Bond American...
Even the way he comes down the stairs as well, he's making his entrance.
I think it would just be even funnier if he just put on like a British accent for that entire scene.
Oh God, I would have hated it.
Well, see, I would, but it would just be like a funny middle finger to the rest of the people doing Bond. It's like, yeah, see, we can do that.
Definitely right.
We can do that.
You know, when you've just watched all the Bond films and you just get a bit sick and tired of hearing the name's Bond, James Bond. I don't really want to hear Harrison Ford do that.
He'll probably just start swearing at you. I feel like, be like, I don't care.
Oh yeah, probably.
No, I do not. Even the dance number I really like. It's just funny how it takes up until like the 2020s before Spielberg can redo that with like West Side Story. Of course, we're introduced to Willie Scott here, played by Kate Capshaw, who then goes on to marry Steven Spielberg. So, despite the fact he hates this film, that's like the only good thing that came from it, according to him. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, the film was a bit of a train wreck in my mind, but I found my wife.
Oh yeah, I just found her. Why is it all of a sudden I'm picturing Grievous from Revenge of the Sith?
No!
Just like Kate Capshaw make a fine addition to my collection.
God damn it.
But yeah, so we're introduced to Willie Scott here, who for years people have absolutely hated because...
I must say that I do prefer her a lot more now on a rewatch than I used to, because I used to feel like you are just the most annoying person I've ever... Like,
well,
can't you just like fall off the elephant and just not return, please.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, okay, could you have either been shot in the opening scene? Could you fall out of the car? Could you fall out of the plane? Could you drown in the river? Could you drop from the elephant? Can your heart just be gone? There's a lot of ways that she could have gone.
Man, you're cold. Like, granted, I said, like, you know, I just wish I previously wished that she'd fall off the elephant and maybe hurt herself, but you're just wishing for death. Nah, I've much preferred her this time around, and I really like her now, actually.
Yeah,
Definitely a redeeming character. I mean, yeah, she is quite annoying at times, but then it's kind of justifiable for what her character is.
It's one of those weird things where, like, I'm sat here trying to think, do I prefer her over Marion? I don't know.
Yeah,
because...
I'm kind of torn still.
But I think it's only because, I mean, like I said, I mean, there has to be, like, the weaker one of the three. For me, that's Raiders. So I'm just sat there thinking, okay, so you've got Marion in that one, you've got Willie here, then you've got Elsa in Last Crusade. I mean, Elsa's probably my favourite, to be honest, of the three. But I'm just sat there thinking, where does Willie actually go in that?
Yeah,
because
where does she fit in?
Yeah, exactly. Especially considering, like, this entire film was just sort of like the, like, awkward middle child you sort of like left in the corner, just like, yeah, we made it. It happened. We're not going to talk about it. In fact, it doesn't even get referenced until the last one. Yeah, she's nowhere near as annoying. Plus, she does come into her own by the end, even though she's still kind of screaming. Like, I actually think, I think the funniest bit with her screaming
She's worse
is either...
than Carol Ann Ford, sometimes.
I prefer Willie Scott to Susan
Yeah,
Foreman,
I
to
do,
be
actually,
completely honest.
yeah.
Anyone not caught up with classic era Doctor Who will have absolutely no idea what that is. You morons. But yeah, I mean, like, it's either like the sequence of them in the jungle and there's like Short Round and Indy playing cards, and then she's just like running around the set just screaming. Or I feel like my favourite one's actually like towards the end before they get on the bridge and there's just Mola Ram and all the Thuggies, and she just stops like right dead center on the camera
and just screams at
absolutely screams.
And he's just
I
like,
don't know which, I
hello.
mean, just like, Ari, hello.
Ari Mara. Sorry, I didn't realise this was the Geordie version of Indiana Jones.
Oh man, I should have gotten the AI to write that instead. Write me a Geordie version of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I don't think it would get it at all.
No, I don't think it would.
Speaking of that scene with the jungle, of course, we see Short Round, played by Huy Quan, in his first film role, one of his only, up until more recently when he came back out of...
in Temple?
Single digits. Very, very young.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he looks like 9 as a guess.
8 or 9, I probably would have said.
Yeah.
But yeah, for like a film debut as well, absolutely brilliant.
Oh, he kills it. Absolutely kills it. He's brilliant.
Spielberg's always had a thing when it comes to casting. He's just impeccable.
Yeah.
And this is no different. He's absolutely amazing. And it just really boils my heart in the lava field, in a cage, with the fact that he didn't come back for the 5th one. Which I don't know if he was actually asked for it or not. Although it's funny reading my original review for this thing from 2020, and I did specifically write in capitals like, James Mangold, you better bring him back for Indiana Jones 5.
But didn't he go to like the awards thing?
Oh my god, that was
reunited
so
with
beautiful.
Harrison. Yeah.
It was just...
You're going to make me cry.
I did. I was like, oh my god, this is adorable. Even just like Harrison's reaction, he was usually just like...
Oh yeah, the face
frown
says
at
it all.
everything. And then he just lights up when he sees him. And I'm sure they actually refer to each other as like the characters, and it was just so sweet. I'm like, Harrison, where was this for decades? But I mean, their chemistry together is absolutely brilliant. I mean, forget like Indy and his potential one-off girlfriends in each movie. Like, him and Short Round is just the pair.
Oh, they're the best, I think, of all the Indiana Jones films. The chemistry that they have is just unbeatable. I mean, yeah, there's definitely like Willie and Marion and Elsa, but it's absolutely nothing on Short Round and Indy. Nothing.
And it's just crazy that, like, of all the parents to go, it's him and, like, basically a junior.
Yeah.
Junior. All of a sudden, that actually works even better now. But he's just so fun. Like they really work so well together. Even just like the little bits, like after he's unvoodooed and they're like exchanging hats, And he clearly doesn't mind if Short Round has the fedora for a bit. And I'm like, Shia LaBeouf didn't get that treatment in the fourth film. He's like, oh, I'm going to wear a jet off. Going to feed you to the monkeys and the aliens next time.
Nah, Shorty's he just has some of the best moments of the film for me. Like, it's, again, forgotten a lot of it until rewatching it.
Yeah, I think, actually, I mean, now I've said it. I mean, I've definitely watched Temple of Doom more, but I think there might be more of Temple that I have actually forgotten than I did with...
Yeah, I think I've mostly just forgotten it because it's been, like, yonky since I've watched just any of the Indiana Jones films.
I also really love Mola Ram as well as the villain, who, granted, doesn't have, like, a personal beef with, like, the principal cast this time, unlike any other Indiana Jones
I think
villain.
It's just, like, a classic horror villain, really. He's just doing it all
Very
for
classic.
power and conquest.
All he wants is a couple of conkers with some like little scratches on.
All he wants is a couple of conkers so he can raise an evil god.
Evil squirrel god or something.
Evil squirrel god. I didn't know Scrat was in this.
That sounds hilarious.
Instead of the Shankara stones, it's just the friggin' nuts.
What? Just like swap out the nut in all the Ice Age films with just one of the Shankara stones.
Oh, God.
Suddenly makes those films even darker, and yeah, fine, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think just as a villain, yeah, he doesn't have like the personal connection or anything, but for this film, he works so well, and as you say, he's very much like a classic horror villain, especially with the headdress, which is like inspired by like a cow skull.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's pretty morbid, like
mental. Yeah, I mean, the film in general is quite morbid. It's got a bit of a body count on it, especially by the end with the crocodiles feasting on those dummies. Production design as well. I'm very just the Thuggee Temple is just one of the
anything
best sets I think I've
involving the
ever
Thuggee
seen.
Temple, the mine, and just the like traps and things, astonishing.
Like even to this day, like you would legitimately think they have walked into a cavern.
Oh yeah,
with like a ritual going on. It just looks so authentic. I mean, I dread to think what it would look like nowadays. But even watching the recent 4K version, yeah, it looks absolutely stunning. Like especially the lava pit as well. When he's like, when the initial sacrifice is going down, and it looks absolutely. I mean, it just looks brilliant. Like especially for 1984.
So that's what a lot of people seem to forget. It's 1984 as well, and yet it still looks better than like most of the
2023.
Yeah,
and I'm not just talking about that film. I'm talking about most films in 2023.
No, I absolutely love the Thuggee Temple. It just looks brilliant.
I mean, it definitely has some of my favorite moments. As I say, I mean, especially that first time you see the sacrifice. I think the minecart chase as well is just basically a roller coaster. And I'm not big on roller coasters anymore, but that is just so much fun. Like, I'm pretty sure with this, I think one of the rides that might have been Universal, I think, because for some reason you could do
I was about to say, I mean, it was
there.
bloody years ago, but I'm pretty sure, like, the Life Centre in Newcastle, they did something similar with, like, a simulator with a minecart chase.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, I was like, yeah, this is very much Temple of Doom, because I mean, it had, like, the lava and, like, the tracks going left, right, and centre.
You know what, actually, if I'm talking about favourite moments, actually one of my favourites, beyond, I think, there's the dinner scene, which obviously caused a bit of a trifle.
Believe it or not, that was actually one of the things
because of the trifles. Really?
Yeah, seriously, because when they sat down thinking, this is like starting to ring a bell, and then they bring out like all the insects and start feasting, then the chilled monkey brains comes out, like, oh yes, this scene.
It's like, it's just the sounds coming from Kate Capshaw.
The sound and the eye roll, and then just the flop back.
I'm sure there's a moment when Short Round, like he's got chewing gum and he just sort of like falls out the side of his mouth. I'm sat there thinking, did they have chewing gum in the 1930s? That was like the first thing I thought. Was just like, when the hell did they get chewing gum?
It's
How
the sound
it
makes when it
after
just
all
plops
this?
on the plate as well. Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, okay, actually, you know what? Before I get to my actual one of my favorite bits, which of the delicacies from that scene is your favorite?
I think they're all pretty gross. Oh, you know, I'm not knocking cultures or anything like that, but when you get the snake scene in particular, it's like something from friggin' Alien.
Yeah. Yeah, actually it does.
When they just cut open the snake and they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
Even the captain's like, oh, yes. He's just like brushing them away. And then you get I think the Beatles, which, the sound just made me so uncomfortable when they're slurping it up. Yeah. And then you get, I think Willie asks for something like
it's soup.
And then it turns out it's just eyeball soup.
and again, she just starts crying.
I must admit, I did chuckle an awful lot when, I think it's when they're having the bugs and stuff, and she says to Short Round, "Give me a hat." Why? Because I'm going to puke in it. He's like fighting for his life to get his hat back.
I just love how he was literally in the process of taking it off. I'm like, oh yeah, oh you're so kind. Oh no, never mind. I think for gruesomeness, I do actually think it's the snakes, mostly because they're still alive and they're just rolling around in the biggest snake.
It's literally like something from Bloomin' Aliens.
I'm starting thinking, okay. So I'm thinking, okay, so cut it open and then the snake comes out of the bigger snake. But how did the bigger snake get the littler snake? And how is that snake still alive? Otherwise, the chilled monkey brains is my favourite.
Oh, the chilled monkey brains. I think that is just such an iconic scene.
I should get that as a goblet.
Because it's just the sound it makes when they take the top off. It's she just looks at it in face. And the guy's like, oh, dessert's here. And then they just come around with monkeys' heads.
Yeah.
And they're all tucking into it. It's like a bowl of ice cream.
Although, funny enough, the scene afterwards with Indy and Willie talking after she's gotten the fruit, and they're basically just flirting in that entire scene. I'm like, you know what? This is so unbelievably cheesy. But my God, it's one of my favourite scenes in the entire film because it just...
Oh yeah, because you think that they're gonna, do the deed and things like that, but then she's like, I'm not that easy. And I'm not either.
One of them is
You'll be back in 5 minutes, Indiana Jones. This'll be the night you slip through my fingers.
Meanwhile, he's just off in the other room just being choked to death.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuses. I always just laugh at the fact that he calls himself a scientist, and I remember having a drink literally as he said that, and I nearly spat. I'm like, you're not a scientist. What the hell kind of scientist are you?
The flirting is so cheesy as well,
but it works. It's actually quite.
I'm
cute.
An expert in the field. Oh gosh.
I can't even speak any of them on here because it's just going to sound
when
weird.
she storms out and she's like, "This is the night that I slipped through your fingers," and just slams the door, and he's just being choked.
Just that entire scene is so funny.
And then after he's disposed of the attacker in a very gruesome way as well.
Yeah, doesn't really hold back, as I say.
And then it's a really terrible game of hide and seek when he just bursts in a room trying to find the entrance to the Thuggee temple. It's I'm right here. Hello.
I know it is. I just love how he barges in and he's just unbelievably sweaty, just everything. and then he just charge. Well, it just looks like he charges at, and then Willie's like, "Oh, gentle."
Be gentle with me. Be gentle with me.
I'm like, oh, this is not the film I was expecting Spielberg.
Yeah, honestly, I think as a later adult, I just kind of realised how dirty the film probably was going to get. I mean, the stuff with the Shanghai, I kind of like the even though it's stupid as hell, but it's the club is called Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, George? Really? All that stuff is brilliant, and I mean, talk about improvising weaponry. You pick up a hot skewer and you just javelin it into somebody. Like, whew. Yeah, the car chase I think is brilliant as well, just with the introduction of Short Round. I mean, the plane stuff as well with the dinghy, brilliant. I mean,
I do actually really find it funny how like he actually asks Willie if she can fly the plane.
I know. It's like,
like,
no,
really?
do you? Like, he just turns around and looks at her so innocently. It's like, do you? It's like, we're not sinking, we're crashing. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I laughed at this way too hard, but when they're on the journey to Pankot Palace and they take the elephants from the village, and Willie's like putting some like perfume on it to make it smell a bit nicer, and the elephant just has enough and just chucks her in the water, and she has this absolute mental breakdown.
Yeah, she does.
It's like, I'm a singer in Shanghai. I used to have a nice house in a garden. She just goes mental. I hate outside.
And to just think she's doing all this and nothing major has really happened beyond falling out of a plane so far. Just like,
and everyone's just
like it's nothing compared to sacrifice
in
and rituals.
this like little puddle, and the elephant's just swinging the trunk. Wasn't me. I mean, you mentioned it before, but when they camp out in the jungle, and everything she runs into, there's just some animal. It might be like a bat or a... I think the bat one's probably my favourite one because she's putting like a top up and then it just descends down from the tree.
And it's just there. Yeah. But also it's just like the way they do it, it's almost like she picks it up anyway. I was like, this is not a pair of trousers.
T-shirt.
Oh, actually, I really like the moment when she thinks the elephant's behind it with like its trunk, and she just pulls on the trunk, and it's just a snake, and just Indy's reaction, and
yeah,
she
he's
just
like,
couldn't give it down.
Absolutely petrified, and he's like against a tree as far as he can go, and she's like, I hate that elephant. It's like, it's not an elephant. That wasn't an elephant.
No, it wasn't.
Very clever, very clever. We mentioned the chilled monkey brains, of course.
Yeah, we did.
But the stuff in the Thuggee temple with the steps of Shiva when they basically descend the temple with the traps and the spike room. I mean, that used to really make me quite anxious as a kid. We are going to die! And the noise that the bugs make. Oh my god, it kind of made me skin crawl, I'm not going to lie. Because when she goes to pull the lever and it's just filled with like every insect known to man and it's just covered in moss, I'm just like... What?
You know, it's just like for some reason there's always like a critter or something in these. I don't know what it is with Spielberg and critters.
And the bloody like millipedes and stuff crawl into her hair. I'm just trying really hard not to retch. And I like it how Short Round's like, oh, I think I'm stepping on fortune cookies. I'm like, incorrect.
No, you're not.
That ain't fortune cookies. It really isn't. I mean, the Thuggee temple, obviously, anything with Mola Ram and the bridge showdown as well, where you've got Thuggees on either side just closing in, and Indiana Jones just decides, you know what, screw it, and just cuts down with a machete, and you see half of them just go flying into the crocodile pit. Like, man, they're going to be chubby after that. So many Thuggees. And yeah, I think that really is it for... I mean, you could probably say everything, really, but if I had to pick like a definitive favourite, I probably would go with, strangely enough, the scene where you get Indy basically getting captured by the Thuggees and he's forced to drink the black sleep, and you get that like really mummified head with the blood in it, and it just so awful. And then it's like really heartfelt because when obviously Indy turns evil very temporarily, and Short Round, you know, they're reuniting. It's so heartwarming.
I think like it's more heartwarming than most of the actual relationships he's had in this entire series.
Oh yeah, it really is.
And it's just like a mate. It's just like a friend.
Yeah. It's there's so many. I mean, there's probably a few I've missed off, but that's everything I can really think of for memorable moments, really.
I think what really makes it work is just that really dark tone compared to all the other ones. That being said, what would happen if this film was just a little bit sillier? I've tried three times to do it, and you just suddenly appear with like another bit of trivia. Like, damn it, Dan, I'm trying to make a joke here about peanuts. Yes, we are back with our. Well, this one's slightly different. Yeah, I'll say this. I think we'll forgo the what would you do if you were Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, because it's just going to end extremely quickly. In that it'll end with the opening scene. We're going to get knocked over by like the spinning drum thing. We're just going to get crushed. Yeah, we are. So instead, we're going to do our segment of Where's the Bloody Screenwriter, where each of us have gotten a bit of AI prompts to give us a stupid version of Indiana Jones. You have given me the name of yours. For the sake of decency, I'm going to let Dan go first.
Oh God, bad idea.
I don't know.
So really, I thought of, what if Temple of Doom had a sequel?
Oh.
So we've got our title, which is, of course, Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Ancient Silk Socks. Several years after their harrowing adventure in the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones, Short Round, and Willie Scott's mother, Evelyn, reunite to embark on a new quest. Rumours of ancient silk socks, of the cheesy toes, a mystical artifact believed to grant the wearer unmatched agility and strength, have surfaced in the remote regions of India. However, this reunion isn't without its challenges. Short Round, a moody teenager who likes to get high,
Jesus,
feels torn between his loyalty to Indiana Jones and his desire to carve out his own path. His rebellious attitude adds tension to the group dynamic, testing their ability to work together as they navigate the dangers of their quest. Driven by a mix of curiosity and the desire to keep such powerful artifacts out of the wrong hands, the trio sets off on their journey. Along the way, they face treacherous terrain, encounters with rival treasure hunters, and the mysterious followers of the cheesy tour cult, who will stop at nothing to protect their relics. As they delve deeper into the jungles and ancient temples, they uncover clues left behind by past explorers and decipher cryptic messages that lead them closer to their goal. However, this quest is complicated by the betrayal of a trusted ally and the emergence of an unexpected challenge that might test their courage and resolve. The temple housing the ancient silk socks is not only guarded by the cheesy tour cult, but also by ingenious sock-related traps that test the group's ingenuity and agility. From
sock-related traps? What kind of sock-related traps is that?
From pitfalls filled with socks to hidden compartments triggered by stepping on sock-related tiles. Indiana Jones and his companions must use their wits to overcome these obstacles, but their greatest challenge comes when they stumble upon the Great Sock Beast, a monstrous creature lurking in the depths of the temple's flooding chambers. As Indy and Short Round are ensnared in sock-related traps, Evelyn realises the only way to save them is to make a sacrificial offering to the Great Beast. In a heart-wrenching moment, Evelyn must part with her beloved socks, offering them to the creature in exchange for the release of Indy and Short Round. Her selfless act not only saves her friends, but also unlocks the final secret of the ancient silk socks, leading them to their ultimate destiny. Filled with thrilling action sequences, heart-pounding suspense, and Indiana Jones' signature charm, Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Ancient Silk Socks takes audiences on an unforgettable adventure through the exotic landscapes of India in search of ancient treasures, friendships, and the ultimate sacrifice amidst the challenges of cheesy tour-related perils. Finn.
Jesus, Dan.
I did say.
I honestly thought, okay, first of all, Evelyn, this is clearly a rip-off of The Mummy, all of a sudden. I'm just thinking of that the entire time, just like, you're not killing off Rachel Wise, you're not doing that.
Like, hell, you can blame the AI for this. It just
also,
decided, you know what, Evelyn seems like a perfect name.
But why is it Willie's mother?
I don't know. I just thought,
is she in this film? Is she in it for like a couple of scenes?
Yeah. Apparently
yeah.
so. Maybe she betrays them. You know, you never know. I just like the fact that that Short Round is now a teenager who gets high.
Just like the classic thing, isn't it?
I can picture him in
Rebellious
the car,
teenager.
in that goddamn scene with the Chinese gangsters, and it's like Short Round step on it, and he's just like blitzed out of his mind. He's like, huh?
What?
Huh? Oh, it's like that cat. Oh.
Not the cat.
Short Round, put your foot down. Oh.
Oh.
Oh, they're in the spike pit. Yeah, he's just like, oh. That's all he says. Oh.
Well, I mean, I think I've lost this anyway, so it's fine. Okay, so we'll go with mine. Significantly less silk socks. Instead, it is Indiana Jones and the zany Temple of Tickles.
Jeez.
Damn. So, Indy, seeking a break from ancient artifacts, stumbles upon a rumor about a legendary temple. Is it not just like a regular temple?
Is it not just every other temple?
Yeah, exactly. That holds the power to make anyone burst into uncontrollable laughter. The Temple of Tickles.
Oh. I didn't realise the Temple of Tickles was led by the Joker and his laughing gas.
I was thinking the Joker as well. Intrigued by the prospect of a lighter adventure, Indy, accompanied by his newfound friend, Chuckles the Clown, I think his name is Arthur Fleck,
God.
sets out on a quest to find this whimsical temple. Whimsical. Their journey takes them through a series of slapstick mishaps and giggle-inducing challenges. Along the way, they encounter a mischievous tribe known as the Giggletarians.
The Giggletarians. Why does that sound like a villain from Doctor Who?
I was just about to say, it doesn't sound out. Just, it sounds exactly like the Hartnell era all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Who guard the entrance to the Temple of Tickles. To gain access, Indy and Chuckles must prove their comedic prowess through a series of absurd comedy competitions. I'm expecting stand-up. That'd be quite funny.
Yeah, I can somewhat see this with this script.
Mm-hmm. The temple itself is a maze filled with wacky traps, including floors that make funny noises when stepped on. That's all floors, I think you'll find.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And doors that open to reveal custard pie throwing contraptions. As they navigate the zany temple, Indy and Chuckles inadvertently trigger an ancient tickle curse that causes the temple walls to shake with laughter. A tickle curse.
A tickle curse.
In the climax, facing off against a ticklish high priest armed with a feather staff, Indy and Chuckles must use their combined comedic genius.
A feather staff.
I'm picturing like a lollipop stick.
Yeah, that's what
from
I'm
like
thinking.
a lollipop man, but just like instead of the circle, it's just a giant feather.
It's just a lollipop stick with loads of feathers.
Must use their combined comedic genius to outwit their foe and escape the temple before it collapses into a fit of laughter-induced chaos. It's just Arkham Asylum now.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. The film concludes with Indy and Chuckles sharing a hearty laugh over their absurd adventure, with Indy realising that sometimes the best way to face danger is with a good sense of humour. And as they ride off into the sunset, Indy quips, "Who knew Tickles could be so perilous?"
Jesus
Hopefully,
Christ.
Finn. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so it sounds like Tickle Me Elmo went a bit evil and decides to just reside in a temple made of laughter.
Elmo was always evil. It was just something dark about Elmo.
Kalima!
Kalima! Yours is more outlandish, to be honest. So, I'm going to give that to you, to be completely honest.
Yeah!
Yeah! I won a thing on the internet.
I won a thing on the internet. I'm so proud. Are you proud of me, Mama?
I think that just about covers our thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, alongside additional AI stories featuring silk socks, tickles,
Ancient
and
silk socks.
Sorry, ancient silk socks.
Yeah.
And that stupid cat meme that just won't leave any of us alone. For some reason.
Oh.
I don't get. Oh. God damn it, Dan. Oh god. But yes, thank you very much for listening to us just sort of descend into madness. It's Dan's fault once again.
As always.
As always, it's Dan's fault. Oh dear, what is he laughing at now?
I'm still just laughing at the cat.
Swap out the end, well, like towards the end, when like they get to the bridge and Willie screams at the Thuggees. Instead, she just goes,
"Oh!" God damn it! Oh my god, I'm crying.
Huh?
What?
Anyway, we will be back next week with Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the decidedly less dark one. Hopefully Dan has stopped crying with laughter. By that point, I'm not entirely sure.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But yes, we will see you for that next week. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you then. Until then, it's goodbye from Dan.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.